Hello, good evening and welcome to another program on Law and Order. And today is the second day we are going to discuss on this subject which we discussed once earlier, on the subject of constitutional reforms. On today, I have another special expert guest on this, that is none other than Lal Wijenayake, attorney at law. He is the chairman of the Public Representations Committee on Constitutional Reforms. Mr. Wijenayake, thank you very much for joining the program. How are you today?
Fine, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming with all your busy work. Tell us, to start with, how did this Public Representations Committee start? And what is its role?
The Public Representations Committee was appointed by the Cabinet of Ministers to ascertain the views of the public on constitutional reforms and to submit a report with our recommendations.
Right.
So really this was a very important step in constitutional reforms, because the 1947, when the Salisbury Constitution, that was completely out of our hands, so there was no public discussion on that. The 1972 Constitution, again there was limited discussion, there was no open public discussion where views of the public are called for. 78 Constitution, there was not at all, right? It was just the Constitution was there. So this time the difference is that the constitutional process started with asking the people, what are your views on Constitution? What do you want in the Constitution? What do you expect in the Constitution? So that is how it started. Then we were given limited time, of course, because
How long were you given?
We were given only 3 months. 3 months, and we took 3 months to prepare the report. So we went to all the districts anyway. We informed the public by making use of the Gramanil diaries, the areas, and anyway 2,516 persons came before us and expressed their views. Out of those, they were not individuals. Over half, over 1,000, represented large trade unions, professional bodies, then civil society organizations, organization of farmers, like that. Representing a large section of the people, population. So we had that advantage, and then we called for written representation. We received about 3,000 written representations, very important written representations, by even villagers, and just in piece of paper representation, but which were useful. It shows their problems as far as they look at the Constitution to find some solution to their problems. Right? So we considered all that, and we went into it in detail. All of us sat together and considered, 19 of us. It consisted of about 8 university academics, then about 8 lawyers and others representing civil society. So, and prepared the report, which runs to about 300 pages. This is the report that we prepared. Then we, as far as the views of the public were concerned, we included it in a report, not that individual views, but the views as such, collectively views. And there we did not, the views were, of course, contradict in the sense, different views.
You found contradictory views on the same subjects?
Views on most of the subjects, but we included all that, and we gave the alternate in the sense what the people said, without any way trying to suppress any of those views. Then we expressed our recommendations. Even our recommendations, all were not agreed. So we have alternative recommendations, because it's not we who are going to draft the Constitution. The people who are drafting the Constitution should have all those views before them.
Right. Let me see that and try to show that report to the public at some time during the program. But now this report, which consists of public's views. Now you said this
and
was,
our recommendations.
This was never done before. This is never done before. I think we can get to the public, because this is a very important document done in such a short time. I think it is very valuable. What did you really find? What did you really find which you think is not addressed in the present Constitution?
the problem is now when we went around, there were certain matters on which the people were in agreement. There was no dispute.
There was no dispute.
One was that they wanted the democratization of the state. There was no, because of the experience during the last 10 years, that they were for. That I think all those who came before us agreed that there should be democratization of the state. Secondly, that there should be national reconciliation. That from north to south, all accepted that, and in fact, some of them told us that, most of them told us that it will be the last opportunity. So, those two matters, there was unanimity. No one deviated from that, those two. But regarding other matter, and as to how to do it, as for democratization of the state, there was no difference in views. One mainly addressed was the repeal of the executive presidency, abolition of the executive presidency, creation of independent commissions, and like that, right? So they were all agreed that it should be like that.
If I may interrupt, it's a democratization of the state means this is a democratic state as per se in the constitution. So they want it further.
Further means democratic. There was a breakdown of democracy during the last 10 years.
In practice.
In practice, because we saw that complete breakdown of law and order, a complete breakdown of we'll say, the rule of law, independence of the judiciary. And people didn't feel that the democratic system process was ongoing. So people were scared to talk. They have the white van culture. Right? Then disappearances,
now, lots
all
of
that.
people have been saying this question. I think it is played out in different mediums and different forums in different way. Why we need a new constitution, or do we need a new constitution? What is your taking on this?
Yeah, that is one question that we posed to these people who came before us, right? And most of them, I would say, over 75% of the people who came before us were of the view that there should be a new constitution.
More than 75%. Okay.
Yeah, over 70%. Yeah. Because people were fed up with this political culture. Almost 100% who came before us said that they are fed up of this system. Right? So,
what did they want in the new constitution?
Yeah, they said they don't get any service from the public servants, right? So, like that, so judiciary they were fed up with, right? Legal system. They said we don't get justice. It is a delay, especially things like that. So, what the people thought was that there should be a radical change in the system. So, to bring about a radical change in the system, we need a new constitution, because it is really because of the breakdown of the political system in this country, right? Where democracy has completely failed really during the last 10 years. It was noticed much noticeable during the last 10 years, right? So that was a demand of the people, right? And also because to bring about national reconciliation, right, we have to take very serious restructuring of the state if necessary. Right? So they insisted on that restructure. And so how to do it? There are different views. And now if you go to the north, they'll say federalism is the answer. Not all, but majority. In the south, they are against federalism, and they say anything other than federalism. Right? So we had to, during our deliberations within ourselves as well as with the people, we were trying to find as to how we can tackle this problem. When we asked the people in the north as to why they are asking for federalism, they answered that we are not treated equally. Right? And there are enough examples to show. Right? In employment, in resources, distribution of resources, etc. Right? So when we suggested, and the main fact is that they are not shared power, at least after 1956. They were outside the main political stream. Right? They were entirely different. They were not part of any government as such. They were people with Tamil names, that's what they told us. But they did not represent the Tamil people. Right? Those were some very good personalities, but they did not really represent them. So they were not part of the state really, governor state.
Okay.
So what they wanted was power sharing. When we suggested, they accepted.
This is the northern.
Northern.
Okay, you just mentioned that the people from who made representations for this from the northern side, some part of the country says they want federalism, but southern side or the other part of the country says they don't want. So how do you see you can reconcile these both and come with a new constitution?
That's why we went deep into the question.
Yes.
As to why they asked for federalism. Right? That is because they are not treated equally. They have not been a part of state really. Right? They were not part of any of the governments after 1956. Right? So they have been completely outside the mainstream politics. So now how to bring them in? So what they say is we also should be part of this state. Right?
Okay.
And we should be there in the decision making process. We should be part of it. So what we suggest is a power sharing system.
What is that?
Where power sharing can be in two levels. One is sharing power between the center and the periphery. It is an improvement, we'll say, of the 13th Amendment, the provincial council system. Improvement is, full implementation is necessary first. Right? We can think of any improvement. So full implementation of 13th Amendment plus power sharing at the center. Where because the periphery should be there at the center also, decision-making process. Right? So we have suggested a second chamber, where the second chamber will consist of equal number of members appointed by the provincial council from the province, right? Who will sit there, will say 5 or 6 or something like that, and who will have to approve every legislation that is passed by Parliament. That is our view, right? Our view, but that's how we were unanimous, all the 19 of us. That should be, and therefore the periphery will feel that they are sharing power at the center also. They are in the decision making process at the center. So that will bring the periphery and the center together, right? So with those two systems, and to develop it further, there were different suggestions made. One was that there should be vice president, right, from the community to which the president doesn't belong. Right? Some said 2 vice presidents, like that. There were different suggestions, right? But all that points to one thing, that they are very sensitive about this. That what they want is
who, which part of the country? Is it all parts of the people who represent?
I mean the minorities.
The minorities. Okay.
Minorities feel that they should share power. They should not be treated, through just because they feel we must be fair by others, and they are doing something is not acceptable to them. What they want to be at the center of the decision making process. There should be. Right? They should have a say in decision making.
Right. So go ahead.
So that is why we suggested sharing of power at 2 levels. One between the center and the periphery, and another at the center itself to share power.
That is the second chamber thing you said.
Second chamber and other, like what I said about appointment of vice president from the community and things like that, so that symbolically the minorities are there at the center.
Right. So the idea of prime minister won't come in there if you have vice president?
No, prime minister will...
In addition to the prime minister?
Prime minister, yeah.
Because countries which have vice presidents...
Yeah, vice president, that we are thinking of the present system, right? Even if we resort to, if we do away with the presidential system, still we have a prime minister and a president, right? Symbolic president at least, with maybe with certain powers.
Right.
So there can be a vice president or 2 vice presidents.
But both are going to be symbolic then?
Yeah, vice presidents now, like in India, one vice president can be the chairman of the second chamber or something, and the other vice president can be chairman of certain committees. Right? So like that, so we have to really create that structure.
Okay. Now, in your answer you said that part of the country doesn't want federalism, part of the country wants federalism. Now, what you are proposing together, this middle ground you came, Is it federalism or is it not federalism?
It's not federalism.
It's not federalism.
It's not federalism.
It's a common ground. It's a middle ground.
Yeah, because the sovereignty is not shared, right?
Sovereignty is not shared. Okay.
It's one, right? Parliament, right? And so there won't be federalism in that sense. But there is some sort of devolution of power, right? Even in the 13th Amendment, there is a certain devolution of power and certain elements of a federal system, right? But it's not federal. Federal means they should be able to take decisions independently, right? Which is not there in
which is not being proposed.
Not in proposed because that's not acceptable to the majority.
Right.
So the constitution should be a constitution that all sections of the people will accept, and the minorities accept that. They say, yes, this is what we want.
Yeah.
But we know that most of the southern people are against this. Right? So tell us what we are going to get, right? So they are prepared to accept this sharing of power. And the other reason why new constitution is necessary is we now 69 years after independence.
Yes,
we have
just
failed
70 years. Yes,
70 years we have failed
yeah.
to build a nation with a Sri Lankan identity.
Right.
Right. Now India did it in 1950 itself.
Yes.
Through a constitution.
Yeah.
So India, they considered what sort of India are we going to build. Right. They had a vision, and to go to that end, they knew that the unity of the country, cooperation of all the sections of the people, the resources, physical and human, is necessary for development. And they brought about a constitution that to go to that where they wanted to go. Right? So in our country, there was no vision as such. Right?
Do you think that is because of the fault of the successive constitutions we had in the 70 years?
Yes.
Governments
None of the
changing every 5 years?
constitution addressed the main problem of sharing of power. Right? Because in a country where you get number of communities,
yes.
Right, the basic problem that arises is how to protect the rights of the minorities.
Right.
The minorities should feel that they are part of this country.
Right.
Right? To feel that, they should feel that they are also governing the country.
Right.
Right. Unless by just lecturing them, it won't do that. We will be fair, we are going to be fair, however you must show that you are fair. That is not enough. But they should feel that they are part of the state, really. Right. So to build that, I think power sharing is acceptable.
Right. One of the other arguments is that we are looking at big countries with big landmass and big population like the United States, like India, and countries like that, and trying to structure this in a roundabout way to bring federalism. Now, as you know, you correctly said we have failed to build ethnic identity for 70 years. India did it.
With the Sri Lankan identity.
Sri Lankan ethnic identity. And it's largely because the constitution did not supplement to that. And if you look at India did it in one way, we had countries like Singapore, which has looked at Sri Lanka and said that we're going to develop like Sri Lanka, and they have built up in a different way. So in your process, are you going to look at all different types of countries which have developed in the past decade or past 100 years or half a century years in order to build a proper country identity? Or is it that we are just following the US or an Indian or a model of one part of the world?
US, of course, is entirely different.
Yeah.
Different. But the Indian system is, of course, we'll have to consider. And the South African. So where South Africa, we are such a divided country. There's people of all sorts, and to form a rainbow state, right? Consist of all the people of all colors, white, black, yellow, every section of the community in that, and to build up. So that was through the Constitution.
Right.
The Constitution that was adopted, and the person behind that, Mandela, was able to bring about. So we have to look at those countries to see how they are doing it. Now even countries like Nepal are trying to do it now. And to a certain extent they have succeeded, but they have problems. Like Kenya is trying to do that. Right? So there are several countries. So we will have to do, the problem is that it is necessary to do that. There's no two words about it. So we have to find a way how to do it. Right? This is the way to do it as it is today, and from what the people think about the situation today.
Right. Now, two other questions that are raised by the public with regard to this new constitution which is going to come into force is about the unitary nature of this constitution, which you gave some explanation earlier, and about the status given to Buddhism, which is over 70% of the population, right? What was the representations made by the people who made representation to PRC on this, and what is the taking on this matter of your
these two matters have been raised really by people who are opposing the constitution, new constitution, for political reasons. Because that is really the issue today. But the people who came before us, none of the people who came before us said that Buddhism should not be given prominent place. Right? Article 9, even the cardinal said Article 9 had not affected us. Let Article 9 be there. Right?
Yes.
We are not.
Yes.
Similarly, the Muslim clergy, as well as the other religions who came here, they were not against Article 9. Right? Because Article 9 is just symbolic. Right? Because as the Supreme Court has held, we are still a secular state. Right? So that I can't see, and the Prime Minister said that Article 9 will be there, and President has said so. So why people keep on harping on this, right? Article 9? It is for political reasons. So I don't think 9 will be changed. Article 9.
So if a new constitution were to come, are you just going to like a cut and paste Article 9 as it is?
Article 9 as it is, I think it will be there as it is. Because the people are sensitive about that. So to get it passed as a referendum and all, we have to think about what the people want, right? Yeah. So because it's a harmless section as far as I think. But even I feel that it would be better if state and religion are kept apart completely. And if so without Article 9 it would be better.
You mean that is this US example?
US and many other countries. In India, India is the best example of about hundreds of religions.
Right.
But 90%, 80% are Hindus, but they are not made Hindu. So I think, but as it is today, right, the Article 9 will not be removed, I think, right? No one will take that chance. So it will be there. And regarding the unitary nature of the state, the Tamils are prepared to accept some, now, including the TNA.
Right.
We have discussed it. Our committee discussed. We met the leader of the opposition on many occasions, and we discussed. And they are prepared. What they say is, don't expect us to come out today and say we are not for federalism, right? Because we have stood for federalism from 1949. Right? But tell us what we are going to get, then we can say whether we accept it or not. And what we are worried is that they should be first, equality should be there. Right? And they should feel that they are part of this country. And they are also ruling this country with others. Right? Not that they are at the mercy of others. Right? So that is what they want, and that you can achieve through power sharing. That's our view.
Right. So if you were to sum up the whole output of this report which you showed me, the public representations on constitutional reform, if you were to sum up in 30 seconds, what would you say?
I would say that it contains the real views of the people.
Right.
And the recommendations can be considered, right? Because they were well thought out recommendations, right? By academics, lawyers, and like that. And this can be made use of. Not that I say they should be made use of in the political reform, the constitutional reform process.
Right. Mr. Lal Wijenayake, Chairman of the Public Representations Committee for Constitutional Reform, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we wish you success in whatever you do. and in the process. And thanks for sharing those very valuable thoughts with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's Law and Order for you today. We'll join you next week at another program with Law and Order at the same time. You can watch our programs by going back to our site, that is on www.channeli.lk, and pick Law and Order from the drop-down menu. You can watch all our shows, most of our shows, all over again. Have a nice weekend, good night, and enjoy the rest of the programming on Channel I.